Recently, Project Luminous was announced, featuring 5 authors: Claudia Gray, Charles Soule, Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, and Kevin Scott. These people do not work for Lucasfilm. These people did not consult with or work with George Lucas. These are people that are, sure, good authors, but they're just people from the outside creating Star Wars stories. They don't truly know Star Wars, and they are not concerned with maintaining the lore of Star Wars. Their job and their plan is to create new stories. I, like any fan, like new stories. But what they are introducing is the High Republic, which is 200 years before the Phantom Menace. Some people aren't getting it. Not only had they retconned everything with the sequel trilogy, what they're now going to do is go 200 years before the Lucas trilogies and establish new rules and laws to retcon the original movies. This is what it's leading to. They are going to destroy Star Wars before and after the original movies. This is literally what they're doing. If they had respect and knowledge of the past, they would not be creating new stories. There's an expanded universe that was 35 years old before Lucas sold it. If these people had respect and concern for Star Wars, what they would do with Project Luminous is intertwine and reestablish the expanded universe. What they are going to do is create new stories and introduce things like diversity in dinosaurs. These people are clueless, and they have clearly been tasked to just create new things, and it's going to retcon the original movies. You do not have a liberty of going back in time and recreating the history of Star Wars. In Disney's eyes, in Pablo Hidalgo's eyes, in Lucasfilm's eyes, maybe they feel they have that right. But if you thought there was a backlash from the sequel trilogy, wait till they start messing with the original movies. These people want to literally rewrite the history of Star Wars, and they're going to certainly see the wrath of the fandom. Everyone at Lucasfilm and involved with them is completely lost and clueless, and I'm going to show you several examples of why they cannot keep their own story straight and why they are planning on destroying the history of Star Wars. Some of you may recall recently the reports of the new Star Wars comic, Star Wars #1. It is showing how Luke Skywalker got his hand chopped off in Cloud City and how someone caught his lightsaber down in the chambers underneath Luke. As we all know, that lightsaber was lost out in Cloud City and done with. But Disney, in their retconning, is now introducing where someone had caught the lightsaber. Now in Star Wars #3, written by Charles Soule and Jesus Saez of Project Luminous, Luke, Lando, and Leia return to Cloud City. Luke is in search of his lightsaber, which never happened. He built his new lightsaber, the green one. Although be prepared, because in a upcoming issue, he will now have a yellow lightsaber, which never happened. Lando comes across Lobot, who the Empire has now wired into the main computer of Cloud City, which never happened. And then the best part of all of this mess, Leia gets spotted and stunned by stormtroopers on Cloud City, and she gets frozen in carbonite. Why would you do this? What is the point? Just some bling to sell to people. This never happened. This is so stupid that Leia is now in carbonite. Furthermore, Luke, Lando, and Leia would not have gone back to Cloud City, not while it's occupied by the Empire. Some may say, but Lando would want to go back to his Cloud City. He owns it, he runs it, he would care about it. At this point, Lando was over that. The Empire had betrayed him, frozen his best friend. His priorities and mind were in a different place. He then became a hero. He was no longer concerned with smuggling and his scoundrel life, just as Han had changed in A New Hope. Leia frozen in carbonite does not cause any immediate problems. She gets unfrozen, obviously, and shows up in Return of the Jedi. But keep an eye, because Disney is retconning things. And now with this event, who knows where they're going to take this story and what's going to happen with Leia in carbonite. In the same issue, #3, Charles Soule introduces there were other Star Destroyers in the area of the Battle of Yavin, the first Death Star. They show several Star Destroyers close by to the battle. They were so close that debris from the destroyed Death Star crashed into these Star Destroyers and damaged them. However, supposedly some of these Star Destroyers were still intact, and that's how Darth Vader was eventually rescued, because he flew to one of the nearby Star Destroyers. However, as Disney and Lucasfilm do not think things through nor know the history of Star Wars, they've created 2 two major problems for themselves with this ridiculous story. First, they are nowhere to be seen in the Battle of Yavin. Why would you have ships attacking the Death Star and all these Star Destroyers are just hanging out of sight? Second, just because the Death Star was destroyed doesn't mean the Empire just said, oh well, screw it, I'm going on vacation. On the contrary, they would have all closed in on the rebellion and attacked them, especially if they're close enough that the debris of the Death Star is hitting them. They're right close, and they did not come to aid in the attack or press the rebellion. The rebellion was like 30 X-Wings. It was nothing. And Charles, along with everyone in Project Luminous, and sadly all of LucasFilm, have their heads so far up their asses, and they don't think ahead nor connect dots in history, and haven't even realized that they once again backed themselves into a corner and made a mess of the lore of Star Wars. If there were all these Star Destroyers nearby, they would have immediately came over to assist to A, prevent the destruction of the Death Star, or B, if for whatever reason they were late or didn't get a warning or weren't informed until after the fact, they would come attack the rebels. They're not just going to say, oh well, this is what happens when you don't know the history of something and when you don't sit down and plan it out and think it through. When you just want to make up stories because you think you're so cool and you're so smart and I'm a little author and I want to sell comic books, you embarrass yourself, as Disney has done once again. This is Project Luminous author Charles Soule showing you what is to come with Project Luminous. We all saw the Death Star explode. It's not blown to pieces. It is literally vaporized. Have these people watched any Star Wars movies for real? And I don't mean just watch. I mean, did you really see what happened on the screen? Because the Death Star was vaporized. There weren't huge chunks flying around or debris coming off. It was literally vaporized. So it's just plain ridiculous that they want to try to retcon and introduce things that aren't even physically possible. So let's talk about the Project Luminous members for a moment and show you where their heads are at. This is their planning board from the video that introduces Project Luminous, released just a few days ago. I know many of you have seen this already, but let's take a quick look. First of all, break this down into three parts, the three main parts. And let's look at the most important one first, actual Star Wars with their little heart. And what's the first thing it says? Not pro-war. There has been a lot of arguments and discussion about this, and I just don't understand how some people do not get this. George Lucas was never about promoting war. He never wanted war or wanted to sell you war, but Star Wars is about war. What was Palpatine doing all this time? Setting up a family picnic? No. The entire Star Wars saga revolves around war. The Clone Wars, Palpatine manipulating the Senate and creating an intergalactic war. Thus, there is the Empire. I don't understand how there's people out here that do not understand the problem with not pro-war, when everything that Star Wars is about space war. Droids. Droids are your priority. Space and lightsaber battles. Wouldn't that be higher than Scope, Mythic, and Droids? No single main character. That could go either way. I think you kind of need a main character in a story, but call me crazy. The Force at the bottom of the list, huh? Now let's look at fiction. While Star Wars is fiction, it has very strict rules and it has its lore. You shouldn't be creating fiction. You should be respecting the lore. Third on the list is diversity. Above, an actual ending, feelings, and relatable characters. Call me crazy, but shouldn't good story writing, strong characters, and world building be your number one priorities, like in any book or comic or movie or TV show? Star Wars has always had plenty of diversity, and you guys need to write it down as it's a point. Then they have their little wish list. High Republic, Relic Hunters. Okay, so The Rise of Skywalker, we're going to chase a bunch of MacGuffins. University, none of us know what the hell you mean with that. Presumption is, say, some sort of training, Jedi training maybe. Jedi don't really go to university. Dinosaurs and representation, diversity. There are no dinosaurs and there are no horses in Star Wars. This is Disney's nonsense. Arthurian legends. So we're going to make Lord of the Rings now. Rival houses. No, actually we're going to make Harry Potter. Sith Empire. Here's where they contradict themselves, because they say that in the High Republic, the Jedi are super strong and they're peacekeepers. Yet, how are you going to have a Sith Empire, not a Sith or the rule of two, but a Sith Empire if the Jedi are in numbers and keeping the peace? You've just contradicted yourselves. Let's talk a little bit about dinosaurs, as Lucasfilm doesn't seem to understand what dinosaurs are. Dinosaurs, number 1, pertain to the planet Earth, not the Star Wars galaxy. Number 2, dinosaurs are ancient creatures. They lived in a different environment than humans. They were around before humanoids. Humans could not live in the era of dinosaurs, not only for the fact of being eaten, but the environment of the Earth where dinosaurs are from was different. No more than dinosaurs could live in our time. Not only would they get blown up by military, but they wouldn't be able to survive in this environment. So the whole premise of dinosaurs to begin with doesn't even work on Earth, never mind in a galaxy far, far away. Now let's delve a little bit into the mentality of these jokers. So you see, dinosaurs of the Jedi, their teeth are lightsabers. This is one of the skeletons we found. The Star Wars, the High Republic crew, casually planning how to bring more dinosaurs and actual endings into Star Wars aboard the Millennium Falcon. Well, you should be planning on how to make actual endings, because Disney has had a huge problem with this. As you can see, what they're trying to do is be funny and play it off. Now, what they could claim is that, oh, we didn't know that was going to be in the video and we didn't mean for that to happen. But we know damn well that you guys wanted us to see that because you were fishing. You wanted to see what we were going to react to and how we took your little dinosaur idea, if people were going to like it. But know that that was not a mistake. As you can see here, 20 hours ago, Charles Soule, wait until you see what wasn't on the board. So that board was very purposely put out to see how we were going to react to their little nonsense. And when you've got people with the mentality of wanting dinosaurs, and then now that they see the reaction of the fans making fun of them, they of course want to play it off and make fun. It is not wise to poke fun at your fan base. How did it go for The Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi? Not so well. Mr. Cavan Scott has been very vocal about playing it off. Yeah, some stories are designed to run and run. Others have finite lives. Of course, the boards on that day were part of a number of brainstorms to get ideas flowing. Not a checklist or blueprint for the final project, except dinosaurs, of course. Keep having fun, Cavan. We're going to see how well your little comic books do. Under fiction, if I recall correctly. Oh, you recall exactly, buddy. We were talking about what we like in general stories, not Star Wars specifically. Guys, we were just brainstorming about pop culture. We're at Lucasfilm in Skywalker Ranch, making a plan of what we're going to do with Project Luminous, but it wasn't really about Star Wars. We were just talking about general stories. So don't worry as I walk it back. We're not really gonna do diversity and dinosaurs. We were just brainstorming, yet we put it on the board and we put it in the video. There was the discussion about series and the pros of having a specific ending in mind. Imagine that, a real ending. Like TV shows that know they have, say, 4 seasons, and then that's it. Star Wars already has an ending. It's called A Child is Born by the Force. He goes through a bunch of crap and turns very angry. He then becomes the biggest menace in the galaxy. He kills a bunch of people. He has children. His children grow up. They destroy his empire, and his son redeems him. It's called Star Wars. And the ultimate evil, the Emperor, died. So there's not you having to figure out an ending or creating new stories. If you want to go in the past, you must support the stories that already existed. But how can you expect much from someone that wants to make jokes about dinosaurs? And the worst part is that you guys weren't joking about dinosaurs. That's why they were on your board. It wasn't a jokes section or a maybe section. It was literally what we wish to have in Star Wars, dinosaurs. And when you put out tweets making fun of the fans and now trying to walk it back, it shows quite clearly what your intentions are. And if you don't believe me, let me just put the nail in the coffin for Mr. Cavan Scott. I'm very upset no one's mentioned Boba Fett's dinosaur yet. So what he's trying to do here is say, see, look Look at me. I really know Star Wars. I know about the Christmas special. Hey, genius, it's not a freaking dinosaur. There are no dinosaurs in Star Wars. Never, ever, once has George Lucas said, that's a dinosaur. That's a mythical creature in the time that Boba Fett is living, not a prehistoric, before humans creature. Nor is that planet Earth. That is not a dinosaur, you freaking genius. These people are so goddamn clueless as to what Star Wars is that they think they can make jokes and play it off. But look closely and remember what these people are up to. They're just going to create a whole new backstory for Star Wars. And the goal here is to destroy the original trilogy. They're doing it step by step. They destroyed the past afterwards, and now they're going after the prehistory. Mark my words, Project Luminous is going to be nothing but a huge retcon. Keep in mind that when you have an author not only making fun of the fans, but then trying to make himself look smart with Boba Fett's dinosaur when it's not a dinosaur, you've made a fool of yourself. There are no dinosaurs and there are no horses in Star Wars, Disney. Also keep in mind one of the other authors, Justina Ireland. I write Star Wars and fake history. Now she may be trying to be witty here and say, well, I'm a fiction writer. But you see, this is a problem because there are history professors out here and people that have a very high regard and take very seriously history. And there is a very definitive difference between fake history and fiction. Fiction is something that you make up. Fake history is skewing history and rewriting it. And that is exactly what Project Luminous is going to do. They're going to try to rewrite the history of Star Wars. Don't be mistaken that this project is not thousands of years before or after. It is 200 years before The Phantom Menace, so that they can set up the beginning of the deconstruction of the original movies. One example is they'll introduce force healing to justify Rey healing everybody in the sequel trilogy. This will then retcon the entire 6 movies from George Lucas and make everyone look like a fool because Anakin, Obi-Wan, Luke, Yoda, nobody could force heal, which would have changed the entire story. So now you've got Rey being a Mary Sue and doing all kinds of miraculous things, flying, healing, lightning. Then they're going to, in Project Luminous, introduce some of these powers and maybe even other force powers, which leaves the original movies in the middle, and they can't do any of these things. 5, 10, 20 years down the road, children are going to watch the Star Wars movies and say, these movies suck. They couldn't do anything cool. They didn't have any powers. What happened? Everybody was super powerful in Luminous and pre-era, and Rey was super duper in the sequel trilogy, but yet Luke was nothing. Darth Vader was nothing. Only the Emperor was anything special. He could come back to life and he kept ruling. They're going to change the entire history and credibility of the original movies. Here is her book. It's a great day for fake history. So what she's trying to do is be funny and say that I write fiction. But there is again a very distinct difference between rewriting history and just creating fiction. Project Luminous is just one of the spokes in the wheel in the beginning of the end for the original Lucas Star Wars that we know and love. And considering the priorities of the board were dinosaurs and diversity, just wait till you see what else they have in mind. I'll leave you with some clips from the Project Luminous premiere video so you can see where their minds are at. I'll also include some artwork they have revealed from future projects. Personally, I can't draw a stick figure, so I'm not one to criticize artwork, but I have to say, I'm not very impressed. I'm not saying that the artwork is terrible, but I'm not overly impressed.
We put together a really unique writer's room where we had diverse voices with very different opinions about Star Wars.
We're all coming in from very different places.
Very free environment for everybody to just throw things out there.
We gave them essentially a blank slate. What would you like to tell?
It is a golden age where there's much more peace and calm in the galaxy.
The description that we've used for the Jedi of this era is that they are the Jedi Knights of the Round Table.
The threat and the tension really comes from the Republic's borders.
It's a bit of a Wild West new frontier. We see a different kind of Jedi that patrols the frontiers and is more of a Texas Ranger.
We're going to have stories for adults and teens and kids. Our our main villain are the group called the Nile. We kind of like to refer to them as space Vikings.
Our story starts with what we're calling the Great Disaster. The cool thing about this is that there's going to be a story for every Star Wars fan. The eureka moment was the question, what scares the Jedi?
Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. May the Force be with you.